Hello everybody, welcome back to Hermione Reads Comics. I'm Hermione and I read comics. Okay, so this is going to probably be the final video I'm going to be doing. I kind of wanted to end it on this note because I did upload a lot of videos. I don't even remember how many videos I uploaded today, but I uploaded a lot of videos and everything. So we're ending it on this note, and then tomorrow I will be picking out at least 4 comics that I will be personally uploading and all that jazz. Yeah. So, let's talk about my impressions of Alan Scott's Green Lantern issues 1 through 5. I've had a week to kind of digest what I've read and kind of give probably a different review than I gave those videos. So, Alan Scott Green Lantern is a Golden Age member of the JSA, the Justice Society of America. And in the old Alan Scott Green Lantern, all that, Alan Scott was not depicted as being gay. And there was one huge reason for this. One, the Comic Code Authority. They were very clear that you could not depict homosexuality in any way. And also, readers would not have read it. Now, let's be very clear on this. This does not mean that Alan Scott was gay in the old comics. It doesn't mean that he was a closeted gay man in the Golden Age comics. It means that people today believe that he was closeted, which actually is not true. I did read that he went to the underworld to get his wife so they could grow old together. That is not the attitude of a closeted gay man. That is the attitude of someone who is in love and wants to grow old with the person. So, when we talk about comic books that take place in a certain time period, a lot of people have demands about what a comic book will feel like, what a comic book will have in it. So, if you are writing a comic book about a character in the 1930s, they will expect certain things to be in the comic that timestamps it for the 1930s. The types of cars that are being driven, how women are dressed, which is definitely a lot more conservative than it is now, and definitely language. I don't remember if Alan Scott used any profanity in this series. If you guys can tell me if he did, but definitely the language, definitely something that you definitely would not do in a comic that's supposed to be a new Golden Age comic. You definitely keep the profanity to a low, or to nothing. Another thing that you definitely don't do in a Golden Age comic remake is depictions of homosexuality. Now, people are going to get on and say, well, Alan Scott's gay. Well, in the old JSA ones, he was not, and it has nothing to do with him supposed to be in the closet. It is that is how Bill Finger and his friend wrote Alan Scott. Alan Scott is a member of the Justice Society of America. Bill Finger knew exactly what he was doing when he created this character. So that's the thing. People are upset that this just does not feel like an Alan Scott comic. This feels like somebody's vision of Alan Scott, which I will agree with. So, I did enjoy the illustrations. I thought the illustrations were really pretty. It was nice to see old-fashioned cars and stuff like that. And definitely, you don't see a lot of the stuff that you see now with like computers and cell phones and all that stuff. But here's the thing. So Tim Sheridan said that definitely the first issue, and I believe the second issue takes place in the 1930s, but issue 3 and beyond, it takes place in the 1940s. Okay, let's be very clear about this, okay? In the 1940s, there was only one country that America was really concerned with prior to the whole Pearl Harbor thing. That was Nazi Germany. Americans were very worried about Nazi Germany. Now, they had heard rumors that Hitler had invaded these countries and taken them over and all that stuff. And they were concerned. And, of course, in the 1930s, America and Russia did not have their little cozy partnership that they enjoyed in the 1940s. Why? Because Russia was a communist country and people were very concerned about communism. And there was a such thing as the Red Scare and all this type of stuff. Now, I am not an expert on Russia and American politics in the 1930s, but what I have read is that Russia and America were not friends. In fact, Americans who went to Russia to visit made a comment about how just insane the country was. And yeah, it wasn't a good time to be a Russian, especially if you happen to be religious and all that type of stuff. So what did people like to see in their comic book heroes in the 1930s and in the 1940s? Well, punching Hitler in the face. Everyone loved the Justice League going after Nazis and battling them. It was just, it was a way for DC Comics and Marvel, of course. Marvel also got involved, I believe, to see their characters fighting Nazis. Now, in Tim Sheridan's Alan Scott's not fighting Nazis, which he should be fighting Nazis. He's fighting, you have Russia in it. And it's really weird is, not only did Tim Sheridan not do his research on American and Russian relations in the 1940s, but he made Russia the enemy when they were our allies. And it has a lot to do, I believe, with the anti-LGBT laws that Russia has. So if you go and don't make Russia historically accurate, make them the monster, it fits into your belief. It's not that kind of circus in the 1940s. The 1940s, yes, they had penalties against homosexuality, but the Russian military, there were some men that did it. You cannot tell me that there was not gay sex in Russian military. There was, because they're away from their wives and they're horny. I'm not joking about that. I'm being dead serious. Okay, that's also why they also raped women, because they were horny, but still doesn't erase the fact what they did was wrong. But yeah, it was pretty bad. But Alan Scott is not fighting Nazis, and that is an enemy that he should have been fighting, was the Nazis, which would have been a lot more entertaining. With like, this Nazi having a Red Lantern ring. I would have found that to be a lot more amazing and like astounding to have Alan Scott fighting against somebody who's part of Hitler's regime. It also would have fit more into how comics were written back then. They were written as a way to entertain people, and also a way to see their favorite characters essentially ending the war with one punch. And that, of course, that is what happened with like Superman. But the Russians being in there is not a coincidence. This is Tim Sheridan basically reminding people that Russia is the enemy and everything. But back in the 1930s and the 1940s, the enemy was Nazi Germany. Um, Another thing that I did not like was Alan Scott's weakness to wood. That is a dumb weakness. The Green Lantern Corps is not susceptible to wood. They're susceptible to orange light. So Tim Sheridan totally got rid of that, which did not make Alan Scott a Green Lantern. It just made him somebody with powers that looks like the Green Lantern, but he's not really the Green Lantern. Also, the reason that Alan Scott is not the vision of a Green Lantern is he is not over his fear. The Green Lantern Corps has established itself as members that have overcome fear and has gotten the attention of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and they are the Guardians, and the Green Lantern ring comes. Like the Sapphire, blue Sapphire or something like that. Their power is love, and you have the Blue Lantern Corps, and you've got the Red Lantern Corps and the Yellow Lantern Corps, and all that. And they all have something that's about them that makes them a lantern. Overall, after a week of processing what I've read, I really, as much as I enjoyed the artwork and the somewhat of a timestamp, at the end of the day, it wasn't really as good as I thought it was going to be. And I'm not saying this because people don't like it. I'm saying that Alan Scott is not a Green Lantern in this book. Tim Sheridan knows nothing about the Green Lantern Corps, knows nothing about Alan Scott. And I will say this, I'm not going to erase the videos because I really stand by what I said. But as you process it later on, you kind of realize that your original view was definitely not accurate. Tim Sheridan did a bad Alan Scott, and I really hope that whoever writes Alan Scott again will write him as he was originally written, because he was a lot more richer and a lot more of the hero that people expected. And also it really shows about the fact that Alan Scott is one of the founders of the JSA, and he is a leader and everything, and that's what makes him a great Lantern, is his leadership and all that. But I think that Tim Sheridan's departure from DC Comics, if that is what has happened, was very well done, and I really hope that he never ever gets his hands on another Golden Age comic book hero, because I'm sorry, we want our Golden Age comic book characters to be punching Nazis. Yeah. Alright, so that is it for today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.